perhaps the high school parking lot, the non-paved section of it, and across the road would also, where we do GrisFest overflow parking, might be two options to present to them, especially when it dries up a little bit down there. Through the summer months would be even fantastic. Trucks are, they're kind of not affecting school hours as well, so might be a couple options if we're going to approach them, make sure we've got a solution as well. They're a big, important part in this town. We want to make sure we're helping them.
Yeah, for sure. I'll keep that in mind. And I will take a drive with Mr. Wall. We'll have a look at what our options are. Okay, for me, I had a meeting with the doctors the other day and supper with them and talked about any issues. And the lab thing and x-ray was right on top. And that is solved for 3 weeks, I think it's. But we've gone farther than that with letters to Northern Health, and we're looking at trying, because it's only a Band-Aid is what they're doing. So we need another lab technician is what we need. Because there was two, one left, and never hired another one to take her place. So that'll be an ongoing thing. The other thing that the doctors mentioned is to keep a doctor here, their spouse also has to live here and enjoy it. Trying to make a happy life for the spouse is maybe something we have to look into. Mayor Bumstead, he goes out of his way treating his doctors right in Dawes Creek. Some of the things he does, I always question, but I think it's a way of life now. And I'd rather explain why I got somebody a part-time job somewhere rather than explain why I don't have any doctors in the health center. So I'm looking at ways, I'm talking to people and I'm trying to, that's what came up is that the doctors' wives didn't have nothing to do during the day, so part-time job was mentioned. So I'm talking to everybody I can about part-time job. I never promised anything. I just said I'd do what I could. So that's where I'm at with that. The museum, as you mentioned, I did have a meeting with them, and I let them know that Clark was meeting with the museum, and that I recommended they go and see him, and I got an email that they were very happy with their conversation with Mr. Clark. So I was very happy to hear that. So hopefully that may be on demand. I'm not sure what you talked about the rebuilding of something, but
it was the let me look again. Museum Advisory Committee, so where they would have members of council and some members of the museum sitting on and just discussing, what's coming up and issues and so forth. I'm not sure. I guess there was a committee, a mayor's committee, at one time, a mayor's museum committee, and that's what they were, looking at looking to council to see or to yourself on the thoughts of reinstating that. I personally think, we have the TAP committee now, which is a mayor's committee that deals with tourism and a lot of those issues, incorporating maybe one meeting or 2 meetings a year just on those issues. I don't know. Maybe it's something that you'd like to see reinstated, but coming from that last board meeting, that was something that they wanted me to bring forward.
it was attacked. It was you sitting on their board. I can't see how we could do anymore. We'll leave it the way it is because they didn't mention it to me. If they do, I will certainly talk to you about it.
Okay.
The other thing was brought up by Councillor Howe, and that was the bear problem. And there's some issues I think we got to have a discussion of PNP. But the one thing I think we should be doing, and we should be doing it right away, to beat the bears, is advertising in the paper what not to do and what to do with bears. Trash is a big thing. What kids, if they see a bear, should be doing. And that should all be in the paper, and there must be something, Bear Aware or something like that comes up with these advertisements. And I think we should be putting it in paper as soon as we can, and I was gonna make a motion to that effect, that, staff look into it and start putting some advertising in the paper to deal with the bears. I'll make a motion, somebody second it, and I'll put it in discussion. Councilor Kirkland? Yes, Councilor Kirby.
I've been away for a couple of weeks, but I've heard through the grapevine that our paper is no longer gonna be running shortly.
Oh, you steal my editorial thunder.
So, well, kind of fell into my lap.
Well, let me change that, advertise it as we can.
Okay.
Councilor Casey?
Thank you, Worship. I would also suggest, if it's acceptable, that we invite, we talked about it previously, but we invite somebody from the wildlife section that handles that. We've done that before in the past. I think that information and that discussion could be very worthwhile for us to have. And then also from a long-range perspective, and we asked about this previously as well, as I recall, is the fact that we're not the only community that has bear problems. And I haven't seen any bear up to this particular point in time where I have previously as well. So, but going on the basis that we do have, and it will attract bear and so forth, there's certainly from the wildlife branch an opportunity, I think, to contact them and to see if they could name us the top 3 communities, or any number of the communities that have had bear watch problems or programs, that have had serious bear problems and have solved them, to see what they have done in terms of mitigating the dangers, the rest of it, so on and so forth. I would think it would be useful information for council, and an opportunity of talking and learning about processes that they have instituted that have worked for them, as opposed to just having a conservation person coming up and so forth. I think it would be worthwhile information. This is bear country. It's going to go on and on and on and on and on. And in terms of taking the standard approach, and I'm not suggesting we don't, but I think in terms of digging into it deeper, we might get some very worthwhile information from those communities that have had a program and a successful program. I think that's a piece that's missing from our overall strategy. Thank you.
We should invite the CEOs to come out to another council meeting and mention that to them, that it'd be nice to have some information bring us some information like that. But part of this advertising thing is how to report bears. If you see a bear,
Sure.
your phone.
You bet. And I'm not saying we don't do that. I just think we could go beyond that in terms of getting some valuable information.
Yeah.
But you bet.
Councilor Scott.
We did have a conference call last fall, I think, regarding the Bear Aware, but I think on the checklist, we've hit almost all of the criteria. So I think it's great that we put that CO number out, advertise. And one interesting piece of information I found was Whistler. They are one of the Bear Aware communities. Revelstoke, I think, disposed of 6 or 9, I can't remember, bears last year, black bears. But Whistler has a 0 tolerance. Like they've completed the Bear Aware program, but there's a few areas where if a bear is in that zone, like that would be a schoolyard, a playground, like they have 0 tolerance, so they're removed. And that's, I think, what we're missing, is that those criteria where, the bears just can't be allowed.
Okay. Question on the motion? All in favor? Councilor Howell, you in favor of that?
Yeah, no, I just was going to add to that. I sent out a pretty lengthy email about kind of the direction we could go with this, and it was mentioned that the most important point is to let the public know that this is the telephone number they need to call to report the bears. I mean, that needs to be bold, that needs to be in every paper we put out, but we never put a number to it as well. I know that was something that we talked about putting, $7,000 towards this to send out mailers, to advertise in the paper, and also put it on Facebook and any other social media or website that we can. is that something that we should be doing here at this time as well, putting some money towards it as well? Like, because it's going to cost money, right?
I think a mail out would be good. We couldn't do it just once, early here, just before bear season, and write bold letters, that phone number, so that, because the one thing he did say, and the last time he was at this council chambers, was they got any complaints, and our Facebook was just full of complaints. So that Facebook doesn't do it for them. So let them know that number, and maybe we can wear off their phone.
But again, the advertising in the paper does cost us money, and I know Jordan had given us some type of an estimate of somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think he said $6,500 to run for 8 weeks or something like that. I don't think we do this once in the paper. I think this needs to be in the paper every week. It's out there so that if somebody has it in their backyard and they go, oh yeah, it was in the paper, and they can just find their most recent paper and get the number and then call it in right away. And they've also got the list there that you've talked about, that you got to make sure that your grills are clean and that your garbage cans are done like this, and that you got the berries picked and the blah 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 blah, and don't have moose carcasses in your backyard, whatever else, dog excrement or whatever. All that information needs to be in that, right? And I think that's an issue that we need to discuss this type of stuff before we throw out a motion that just says, hey, I'd like us to do something with this. It needs to be in depth, because I think a lot of that stuff that we say now gets lost in translation when staff takes it and then builds it into what they think we're trying to say. And those types of issues need to be in those types of motions, right? So to me, that's what I was trying to convey before I left, was we need to have this stuff well written out, and this is the motion, how it sounds, and have everybody's input on it, so that all that stuff is covered and that they have some amount of money to work at it. And $7,500 was the number that I'd thrown around in that email.
For funds, Mr. Wall, how do we?
It depends on what council wants to spend. So looking at running the ads in the paper through the summer, as well as one mail out, would be $7,500. We can really get as creative with this as you want. We can create magnets. We can do more than one mail out, which, from what Councilor Kirby says, we may have to look at doing. So a dollar amount will inform us on what we're supposed to do. I'd remind council that as far as what we can do to remove bears, we did have the conference call where the woman, her name escapes me right now, but did offer to do that threat assessment, where she took a look at what are we doing wrong, what can we do better, and how can we take the steps to remove bears from our community. I just want to say, if we're getting into the areas where no-go zones and stuff like that, that's not something staff is going to be able to do. We don't have the expertise on that stuff, and we're getting into the provincial realm. We're going to need somebody who knows how this stuff works to come in and do it.
What do you suggest?
Give me some money and I'll get it done.
I'm asking you how to do that.
Just attach, has the motion passed? Just attach a dollar amount to a new motion, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 15,000. What do you want to spend on this?
If we start getting up into the $10,000 mark, that's where that Bear Aware program, I think that was the price tag that was to implement that program, and that would be where we can take it further. So once we get into that price range, I would be going for the Bear Awareness.
I would.
But Bear Aware doesn't inform the public of where they need to call, and that's the component that the guy came in and told us that they were missing, that he never got any of the reports. And to me, that was the whole point of this exercise, is to get that information out there to the public. And along with that is to say, these are the preventative measures that we've set bylaws out so that bears don't come into our community. You need to make sure you're following this type of stuff. And I got no problem if we do Bear Aware as well, if that's going to help us get rid of the bears in Tumbler Ridge. From what I remember her saying, she wanted us to pick the berries in and around Tumbler Ridge, and to me, that's not practical. Like, to me, put a motion on the floor for $7,500 and let staff run with it.
I think I'd like to see us do advertising. If it takes a mailer, fine. It's in the paper, fine. So $7,500 would do that. So, onto my motion. I would like to put the $7,500 be allotted for this. And if my seconder is okay with that. But I would like this to come back to a P&P, and then we will talk about it and beat it up and see exactly where we have to go. I think that phone number's gotta get out. That's the excuse they used last time they were here, that they didn't get any complaints. So if we can get that phone number out, then I'd be happy with that.
Could we post it at the post office as well?
Yeah, I think we should put it
Yeah.
everywhere we ever, in the
Yes.
rec center and all that.
Thank you, Worcester. I know I've seen a post in there from the district side looking for a representative to take over the Wild Safe BC part. Maybe there should be some discussion in the job, and maybe we're not allowed to do it, or Min's not allowed to have a job description for it, but maybe that should be in there when they're being contacted by residents via their Facebook page or by people phoning them or emailing them. They're interpreting that this is the number you need to call. This is what you need to call. Because I know people were using that individual last year a lot too. So.
Mr. Walker.
There'll need to be discussions with that person. I just want to let council know that we were promoting that job opportunity. It's not a district position. It's filled by Wild Safe BC.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that was me. Question and answer period.
I have a quick question. So, one of the meetings I was told this was supposed to be a question thing, so not to just bring up something that I have an opinion on or whatever. So my question is to council, what is the best way to get my opinion to you? Should I send an email to all 7 of you? Should I send an open letter to council? Like, I don't know what the best way is. Because I don't want to approach Daryl in the store every time I see him either, right? Like, he's got a job to do, and I don't always run into him, or Helen. I hardly ever see Helen or Rob. So what's the best way to get a hold of you? What's the best way when I hear stuff at this meeting tonight that I have a concern about? And I think it's legitimate to talk to all of you, because I think that's the best way as a citizen. And you're not gonna have a town hall every night, so.
Email is probably the quickest.
Okay, and should it just be?
And a letter on top of that, then that comes in our agenda,
Okay,
the next meeting, so.
okay,
And you can contact me anytime, store or residents.
okay.
You have, so feel free. Like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of store, but I have a residence and you know where I live, so like, any resident can stop at my house or call my house. That's what my job is as council. That's why I was elected.
Thank you.
Don't go screaming across the backyard at me.
Yeah, I could, yeah, slip on the, slide down the hill.
Any other questions? Okay. That takes us to the closed meeting, I guess. I think somebody will take me there. Oh, looked at you, Trent.
Yeah. No, I have no questions. I think they're waiting for me to make a statement, but
Yeah.
it's not a question.
I'd like to statement.
Do you want to bring us up to date with what's going on with the paper?
Or you can read it. Lorraine's health has been going downhill over the last few months. And so the family has decided that they no longer want to have the paper hanging over their heads. So as of the end of the month, they're pulling the plug on the paper, not on the owner. So,
Too bad.
That is too bad. Lorraine has been a businesswoman in this town for a long time. I've sat on many boards with Lorraine, and it's heartbreaking to hear what's happening. And condolences from myself anyway, and I think probably all of council would feel the same.
And it's like her health is like this. Like she's either on death's door or else she's like sitting there calling everybody going, "What's happening, Ron?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Bishop. Trent, is she trying to sell a business, or is there interest in somebody picking it up and taking it over? Anything like that? Yourself
I
included?
like eggs. That's a discussion that she was trying to get rid of it a few years ago.
So no, not likely? Is that fair?
Nobody. There's a recorder on. I don't want to say anything in a public meeting around that.
Okay.
It's like not wanting to.
That's
yeah,
right.
Not wanting to say things.
I didn't, well, I wasn't thinking about the public,
Yeah.
hearing. No, that's fine.
I have to be aware of these things. Hi, Mom. Oh, wait, Mom's dad. Hi, Dad.
Oh, gee.
Alrighty, so, somebody wanna take me to closed meeting?
Ralph does.
Rob? Where are we? Just the recommendation is written.
As recommendation is presented.
As presented.
Okay, seconder? For Hookup?